Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Thomas Wee. I'm from the Raisin Administrative Committee or California Raisin. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And before I begin, I want to thank all the mothers of this world itself. I want to wish all of you a very happy Mother's Day, early Mother's Day. The mothers to be, and mothers as well. We also want to thank this time, we have a very exciting program here today. We have two wonderful chefs, Chef Judy and Chef Tim. You've seen their profiles there, so I won't go too deep into it. We have a very interesting two dishes today for you to actually try and do it during your Mother's Day activity as well. So before we begin, I want to thank actually our USDA, US Department of Agriculture, for the generous sponsorship and funding of all our activities here at RAC. We are actually an organization that promotes raising consumption worldwide. And over here in Southeast Asia, we cover the markets of Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So I also want to give a special shout out to our friends over at the FCBAI, the Filipino Chinese Bakery Association, for supporting us, and also to our friends at PSB, the Philippine Society of Baking. Those friends there have supported us very much, and we know that you're hurting also over this COVID-19, and we want to be here to support you in all that we can. I also want to thank also our friends over at SBCTA in Singapore, Singapore Bakery and Confectionery Trade Association. All the members who also supported us as well. And not forgetting all the officers from the various FAS offices in the region itself that are helping us as well to get more and more people to enjoy this wonderful taste of raisins. Our FAS officers in Thailand, in Philippines, in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So today we have two wonderful couple, mother and son. Chef Judy has worked with us in the RAC for many, many years. And we also have Chef Tim, he's her up-and-coming son, who is, you see him, he's like a cross between Zhou Huajian, and Anthony Bourdain. So we're going to, ask some questions about it throughout the thing, and I want to keep this relaxed. So if you have any questions, audience, please, key down your comments. We can see your comments. We can answer your questions as well. We'll keep this interactive. And we'll try to keep it within the time. If you overrun a little bit, we apologize for that. And without much further ado, let me welcome Chef Judy and Chef Tim.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to all our friends.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines. It's good to see you online. Thank you for all your support despite now being a very difficult time for everyone. We hope we can put aside some of our worries and concerns and get together for us to share a recipe with you. And the first recipe I'm going to share with you is the raisin and lime cheese tart. Now over here, I have a tart that we have already pre-made because of the short time that we have this morning. You can use any of your favorite tart dough, and what you do, you can line it in any shape that you want. And what I have done over here is that I've actually painted some melted white chocolate over it. This is to keep the tart dough from becoming too soggy. Of course, my friends in the industry, you can also use your ready tart dough as well. Now, the star of today's is of course the raisins, the California raisins. Now, over here, I have got about 300 grams of California raisins. Now, when you buy the raisins, even though it's good to eat it straight from the pack or the package from your supplier, it is always good to give a little bit more moisture to it, and this process is called conditioning. Now, what I do is that whether I'm making it for my breads or for my cakes and tarts, I first pour some water over the dried raisins and then wait for about half a minute, and then I pour out all the liquid, strain it, no need to squeeze dry, of course, and then I set it aside covered for at least 4 hours. Now, what happens is during the 4 hours, the dried raisins will absorb all the liquid so that by the time you use it in the tart or be it in the cakes or in the bread, it will have a very juicy texture. So when you bite into it, you can actually feel the juice of the raisin bursting in your mouth, and that adds to all the pleasure of eating the California raisins. So first, I'm going to get my capable assistant, Chef Tim, to help me blend.
Yes, chef.
I am really very grateful for this opportunity. It's such a blessing to be able to work with my son, who grew up in the bakery with me. And of course, when he was young, what was your favorite snack?
Raisins.
All those small little packs. But honestly, when I was a kid, I do remember very clearly my late father who's passed away, and he used to give me Californian raisins in the box, and that was the most healthy snack a kid could ask for, rather than all the sweets and all that. And so let's eat raisins and make it a way and part of life. And of course, I've already done it and given the raisins as a surprise and delightful treat to my 3.5-year-old granddaughter. By the way, I'm expecting my grandson who will be born in August. So that's indeed a blessing. And life, Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. Yeah. So during this period when, the COVID strikes in many places, some of our hearts are filled with fear, and our hearts go on to our friends in Philippines, in many parts of the world. I just want to, I know some of us have lost our loved ones, but do know they are in a better place and smiling down at us. Okay, so let's go on, better. Okay, now here.
This is okay, right?
Yes, that's good. Shall I be nasty and say no? Then some more, okay?
Yeah, that was when I was young.
Into here, not there. Okay, now the raisins layer gives it a very naturally sweet flavor to this tart, which is very pleasant. And what was actually done was that, as stated in the recipe, we actually put in some lime zest, which is like a calamansi, or if not, you can use lemon juice, lemon zest. Just take off the colored part of the citrus fruit, put into there, and then the raisin will take on a different dimension. So, we can do this. I've even done things like adding chili to the raisins, put it into savory dishes. And I'm sure there are lots of very creative recipes from all my friends in the industry. And you can check out California Raisins, their Facebook and their websites for even more ideas. So what we do is that we just spread it, leave it for like a thin layer of raisins over it, so that, as you can see in the photos on the Facebook, when you cut, you can see a layer of raisins, and that is naturally sweet, delicious, and packed with vitamins and high-end fiber as well. Okay, now that the layer is done like this, we will proceed with making the cream cheese layer. Yes, the cream cheese we use now is basically like a cheese mousse, but it's a lot easier. The three main ingredients will be the cream cheese, and we have the gelatin mass, some gelatin which we sprinkle over the water, let it bloom for 15 minutes before we melted it, and of course some whipped cream. And most important, last but not least ingredients will be more raisins. Okay, and of course California. Now, why California and not, California raisins have a long history of food safety. And, when it comes to the raisins, we know where it is from, we know the source, we know the high standards by which the raisins are collected, processed, and packed and sent to us in all the bakeries and to all the various retail outlets. So we use California raisins. Now over here, I've got some cream cheese that's been already creamed. Now what you can do is, of course, you can put into your mixer and then just use a paddle, mix the cream cheese till it's soft. So over here, I've got some cream cheese, and I also have got some lime juice, also from the calamansi. We use the lime, the outer layer, for the zest, for the flavor, and of course the juice. Squeeze everything out of that little lime, okay? So we put into here and we start mixing. Now, what we do is, thank you. I know that my son can read my mind. Just before he held on to the thing, I was thinking, hey, please hold my bowl, So anyway, so over here, and this is some gelatin mass. as I explained, the gelatin we sprinkle over water, wait for a while, melt it. Gelatin melts at 30 degrees, sets at 18. So as long as it's melted, this acts like a gel to hold the mixture together. So when you slice the tart, you see the layer of California raisins, the cream cheese with more raisins, and then the top layer will be a very nice, smooth lime, which I'm going to get to it in a minute. Okay, so we add now it's very important. When it comes to baking and cooking, it's all about temperature, okay? So be careful if the cream cheese is very cold and this is already quite cool, you put into it, it may just set. So try to put them, ensure that the cream cheese is at room temperature, not too cold, and before I add in the gelatin. Otherwise, if the cool gelatin hits the very cold cream cheese, what will happen is you will get like little gummy bears. Yeah, okay, in it, lumps in it, okay? And once this is done, this is the base. We lighten it with some whipped cream, all right? Now, when we include raisins into our cakes, pastries, and bread, okay, it makes it naturally sweet. So you can actually reduce the amount of sugar that you actually add into any of the products. So over here, I just simply sort of fold the cream, all right, in it. And then I deposit the mixture into the tart, all right?
So, Mom, what if, let's say, if I want to make this tart base healthier, and if I want to make it much more, what else can I do to make it healthier?
Yeah, actually for the tart base, if you want to have more fiber, you can actually replace 10 to 20% of the flour with, for example, some wholemeal. But remember, flours all have different water absorption. So you may have to up the amount of butter a little bit to bind the mixture. So basically, you can do that. But actually, lots of fiber comes from the raisin already. All right? So,
oh, yeah.
Yes.
You forgot about it.
I forgot. You see, my nervousness. That's why I need him as my partner. Okay, but, all right, yes. All right, now sometimes as a mother, because we think we have eaten more salt than they have eaten rice, there is a tendency for me to talk down to him even in the company. And so I have to always tell myself that this young boy who used to munch on raisin as a kid has now grown to a fine young man who found his own success in creating his own brand, his botat, and in my eyes, he's more handsome than what Thomas said. What handsome be a cross between Anthony Bourdain and who? Zhou Huaqian. Oh, in my eyes, most handsome son I have. Okay, all right. Now, so we spread the raisins like this, and the next step will be to just freeze it. Okay, you freeze in of course, in the blast freezer is a lot faster. But for those who are watching and want to do this at home, you can also just place the freezer till it's just set. So like magic, we have the tart already set. Okay? There, ta-da, we have the tart. Yes.
Sorry.
Chef Judy, can I just ask you,
Yes.
when was the earliest time that you knew that Chef Tim is going to be a chef?
Well, actually, I remember one particular Mother's Day when he was about 6, 7 years old. I went through a particular difficult time of my life, and I was very disturbed during Mother's Day. And I remember the next thing that happened was that for dinner, this 6, 7-year-old young Tim brought a bowl of cream of chicken, which he actually took from the can, and he piped a heart shape on it, and with a watermelon cake, And at that point of time, not only did he bring, I was very touched, and also at the same time, I knew that he had this makings of a chef. He took a ready-made product but piped a heart shape on it. This image has stuck to my mind for a very, very long time. So, of course, we all go through periods of uncertainty. I still remember when he grew up at 14 from 14 years old, helping out in a cafe, in the bakery, in the school. And we go through periods of time when we think, wow, the life of a chef, is that what we really want, But I'm glad that my son has found his calling, his passion for this. So, anyway, the next layer is the last layer, which is the lime layer, the lime jelly layer. Now, in the recipe, basically, we use the gelatin, we sprinkle over the water, we add the sugar, more lime juice, and to keep to the more healthier alternative, I actually put in just a 1/4 teaspoon of chlorophyll powder to make it naturally green. But of course, if it's not available, you can just put a drop of green. And, in creating this tart, sometimes as a chef, part of our, before I tell you more story, let me just pour and do this at the same time. The liquid, once it's done, we actually melt it, let it cool, because gelatin will melt at about 30 degrees. And this tart, if it is not frozen and it's hot and you pour into it, it will be very exciting. Everything will be very cloudy because the gelatin cheese layer will melt and everything will float to the top. So it's all about temperature, remember? We leave this, frozen from the freezer. Once we melt this, we cool down, and then we proceed to pour this beautiful green layer. Now, green is my favorite color, so,
Very nice contrast.
Yeah. So it makes me happy. It reminds me of plants, nature, and everything. So, and we leave in the refrigerator to set. Okay? Yes. And set. And again, like magic. Da-da-da.
You can leave it side by side. I think it's
There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
And so it's set. And it remains glossy and beautiful here. And all it needs is a simple decoration. You can, my friends in Philippines, they are very good with their hands in making wafer roses and all. You can use that. Or I made a chocolate rose. So I put a chocolate rose in there. And I love plants and nature. So obviously I also did a leaf out of chocolate. So we just place it over here. And leaves and flowers are not enough without branches. And these branches, I made it out of chocolate, and I started it with some gilded California raisins. What I did was the California raisins, I put it in some gold dust and sort of shook it, so it brings out the beautiful, rugged or rather textured look of the raisins. So here we have more branches. Now, so the contrast of this reminds us of nature that is naturally good. And of course, when this can go on and on. When you sort of hold the decoration in your hand and you don't quite know where to put, that means stop. Okay? So there we have. Despite the fact that I did so many and want to show off, I think I can just stick one more here. Okay? And there we have. So, thank you and happy Mother's Day, right? Refreshing. Now over to my son, the chef. I will be the assistant.
Thanks.
Not that I really know how I'm going to help him.
Well, yeah. So I mean, this is really, really nice, but of course it's not as beautiful as my mom over here. Okay. So hi.
So Chef Tim, tell us, what's the earliest memory of your mother chef you had of your mother chef Judy?
My earliest memory of my mom.
Memory or of cooking.
So like I would say that my mom has never been like the usual normal mom. My mom is the kind of mom that after school, I can still remember after school, after she fetched me and my sister. And then there was one day that it was actually raining, and then she was, normal moms would just like, oh, be careful, get back. I mean, it's raining, faster, you know what I mean? Let's go. But my mom just said that, like, you know what, it's raining, why don't we just run in the rain and we just like, and we just yeah, and I remember that we spent
we were playing in the rain, I still remember. I just wanted my kids to feel the pitter-patter of the raindrops on their faces, But yes, I remember our neighbors was staring at me, why you subject your kids to this? I said, I want to toughen him up.
In Singapore, they say you siao.
Yeah, that's right, right? That's right. No, it's true. And also, like, I still remember that, like, we would go to like the market, and then she would buy like different fishes, and then we would stay at home and just like dissect the fish, Yeah, so that's all that sometimes. Sorry?
You eat the fish in the end.
I don't think so, because by the time everything was all like scattered and everything.
I really couldn't remember. It was really a time passes.
Okay, that's good memory.
Right.
Okay, what are you going to show us today?
Okay, so today we are doing my own version of rum and raisins. If you look at the recipe, if you look at the title of the dish, it's actually raisins and rum. And why so? It's also is because the star of the dish today is California raisins, and the emphasis is also on the sweetness of the raisins, on the natural sweetness of the raisins, and how even is not super sweet, it is not overly sweet. To me, the sweetness is just nice, right? And yes, maybe Thomas was saying earlier on that he would rather to have much more rum rather than raisins. But I think that this is my own take on the usual rum and raisins. Right? So I'm just going to introduce you all of the ingredients that we have here today. So we of course have California raisins, which I've already conditioned. So what I did is that normally if let's say like I would like to condition the raisins like in a much faster way, I would actually boil the water. Once I boil already, I will soak the raisins in the boiling water and leave it there for like 15 minutes. Normally around 15 minutes is just nice because one thing I realized that if you leave it for a much longer period of time, it actually loses its flavor because like the heat of the water drains out all of the flavor. So 10 to 15 minutes is just nice. Right. So I have the condition raisins, and also I've also chopped it up also as well. I've chopped it up in like coarse bits.
Why do you leave it as a whole? No need to chop.
Well, because I think that this is really personal preference. You can leave it as a whole also as well. But I like, because today we are doing a cake, right, and a financier, and I want to have bits and pieces inside the cake, So. Yeah, but of course.
Leave it whole, blend it, chop it,
it's really
pop
up
it
to
into
you.
your mouth, everything.
Yeah. So we have got plain flour, almond powder, which I already roasted, and of course because financiers, right? Financiers it's a very classic French pastry cake. Yeah. So the butter that is used in the financiers are always brown butter, and I'm sure that everybody here, in opposite of the screen, you guys know what is brown butter, but I'm just going to just roughly explain. Yeah. So basically, So basically, I just take butter, I melt it in a pot, you let it sizzle all the way until you see the solids of the butter become brown, and then you discard all of the solids, and you only leave the clarified butter. But doing this gives the butter a much flavorful taste. It's much more smokier. It's much more woodier in a way as well. Richer taste as well. And overall it really enhances the flavor of it.
Maybe you can show it to the audience.
Sure.
I think in French they call it like beurre noisette, which meaning butter nuts, so it has a nutty flavor, right?
Right. Okay. So inside the brown butter, I've also added vanilla essence as well, also. And then of course we have got sugar, right? And then we have got the egg whites. So, just give me a second.
Now, you realize that Tim was just saying that he conditioned the raisins by soaking it in hot water for 15 minutes to half an hour. Whereas earlier on I said I sort of put room water temperature, pour it, and then drain, and leave it aside for 4 hours, so that during the 4 hours it sort of absorbs the. Now it all depends on how much time you have. So this is what you call nowadays. They do it fast, do it quick, do it furiously. People like us, mang, slowly. We wait for 4 hours, watch the sunset. Yeah. Okay.
I just changed, right? Okay. So normally for the classic financiers, there are some people who whip the egg whites, and there are some people who do not. For me personally, I like to whip the egg whites because whipping the egg whites gives it a much more fluffier texture. It gives your financiers to be much more airy also as well. So at the end of the day, also again, it comes down to really personal preference, right? In this recipe, I have also reduced the sugar as well also, because I want most of the sweetness and the flavor to come from the raisins itself as well, right? And then of course, if you look at the recipe, the amount of raisins that are in the recipe takes up 45%. Takes up 75%.
75.
Yeah,
Baker's percent.
Baker's percent. So it's really the emphasis of raisins and then rum, right? Okay, so. Yeah, so I've the egg whites. So I'm just going to whisk the egg whites. I'm going to whisk them up until it's soft pick. And while this is whisking, so I add in my almond powder, flour, and the sugar, right? So sugar are in both parts. I've got the sugar here, and then another part of sugar that's going to go into the egg whites, right?
So the sugar is added to the egg white to give more stability to the meringue we form. Of course, I just ended the professional bakery course yesterday with some students. We were talking about the different types of meringues. French meringue, Italian meringue, Swiss meringue. So French meringue, where you just whip egg white and sugar. Italian, you cook the sugar and the water, the syrup, and pour into the egg white, and the Swiss meringue to whisk over that. Different methods of making. That's why it's very exciting what we do. Yes.
One thing that I realized is that baking is really about science also as well, right? A lot of different things, a lot of different ingredients all really plays a very huge factor, a very huge part in the final product, right? So when I was in poly, I never really thought that food science was I really thought that it's boring, why don't you just eat like flour and sort of things. But then when I really started working, when I really started creating products and stuff like that, then I realized that my mom always talks about like specific gravity, SG, what is the SG and all of this science stuff. But if you really know and you really understand the product behind it and also like the properties and the science behind it also as well, then you can really create a very good product.
Yeah. Like what my mentor, Roy Chung, used to tell us, we understand the science of baking in order to get to the success of producing the product better. We understand what's going on. That makes us all very intelligent bakers. So the art and science. And then the rest is the creativity, how we incorporate, naturally sweet ingredients, create whether be it raisins can be in savory or sweet dishes. It's all made possible with an understanding of science and what goes on, flavors and exposure.
Chef Judy, you are classically trained. You went through all the training schools and everything like that. So I'm just wondering, right, for young chefs nowadays, right, should they still go on that path? What you did, classically trained. You think so?
Maybe I'm the old school kind. I still believe education is very important, Like when Tim said about, when he was in poly, he was doing the culinary and bakery science at Temasek Poly in Singapore. And I still remember, his teachers and chefs telling me, Tim is sleeping, But when it comes to the physical work of creating it, he's very active, But I think those knowledge is important. Like,
it is true. Yeah. It is true. It is really good. I'm still young, of course, but I realized that as I get older, as I get older, as I'm really like doing things, I realize how important education is. And really a lot of things that at the end of the day, really education changes lives, and really knowing like your products. Yeah.
That's why two of us are so passionate about what we do at Creative Culinaire, the school. And really thank California Raisins and all my friends in the industry for all the encouragement and the help you have extended to us. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so back to work. So we have got the egg whites that's already been whipped already with the meringue. I have got almond powder, sugar, and plain flour inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add like half of it first, and then we're going to fold in the mixture. Right?
You see, he's smart. He took this mixing bowl with a ear so he can hold. I was trying to mix the egg white earlier on so that he could hold. Just kidding.
It's okay, let's change.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then we're going to put in all of the others.
There's a Chinese proverb that says, 家里一个老就是一个宝. Translated, it means when in the house there is an elderly person like me. Okay, I'm going to be 60 soon.
No, that's not true. No, that's true.
When in the house you have someone elderly, it is a treasure. And we need the energy, right? And the creativity and the excitement and the speed of the young, right?
Okay, so once it has really been mixed well, then I'll add in the brown butter together with the vanilla essence as well, right? So I'm just going to do half first, and then just to fold it in. Right, and then followed by the rest of the butter and the vanilla essence. Okay, so of course at this stage this is just a normal financier, right? It's just your average financier. But what is really going to make it like the star of the dish is the California Raisins, of course, right? So again, I mean, I don't know how much to really emphasize on this, but adding this after you condition it, after you chop it up, really gives it a much better flavor, a much better texture. Overall, it definitely makes a much better product. So I will add in the chopped California raisins, and then continue to fold it in properly. And of course, at this stage, once the raisins have really been mixed well, then this is the stage that you stop, because any more going any more further, you are going to deflate. You would actually deflate the batter, and then
texture, right?
you get a much firmer texture. Yeah. Okay.
Coming to that itself, right? Earlier on, I think Chef Judy shared about when you were young, right? You added value to the soup, and touch, Chef Judy, with the fighting itself. I want to ask you about your entrepreneurial thing you're doing now, which is actually this bow tart.
Yes.
So for those who do not know, bow actually, in Hokkien, I guess our Philippine friends will know as well. Bow means don't have, or no, or none. So tell us a bit more about this.
Right. Okay. So actually, bow tart is actually it's my other personal business that we actually focus on. You know how every year during Chinese New Year, you have got two types of people, right? You have got people who would eat the whole pineapple tart, and then you have got the other group of people that who takes off the jam and then they only eat the tart. I'm sure that everybody has that one friend, right? So it really started off with one of my founders. Every year he would always ask us to always bake him pineapple tarts without the pineapple, right? And then me and my friend and of course me as well. So we would always every year we would sell, But then we started to realize that hey, there is actually a group of people out there who actually only eats the tart base, because then another friend asks, and then another friend asks, and then another friend asks. So that's where we started this business. And since of course we have the school next door, we have in the school we also do produce a lot of breads and cakes and pastries and tarts during Chinese New Year for the cafe, right? Café Pralet. So then that's when I thought, why not let's
do something
let's
different.
do something different. And 3 years later, we realized that, like, wow, there is actually a group of people out there, and you'll be surprised that how many people actually
Ordered it.
well, yeah, order it as well. So, so yeah, and basically butter tart really emphasizes on a really really good butter tart, right? It really emphasizes on a very melt your mouth crumbly butter tart.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's really, I mean, really, you're very proud. I mean, Chef Judy.
Yes,
he's really entrepreneurial.
I still remember the first time when he told me about the concept. I said actually the first thing that came to my mind was really, you know, like when I order pineapple tarts, I want pineapple in Teochew Zui Zui, you know, a lot of pineapple. Why people buy pineapple tart without pineapple? But then immediately I also said that this is a very clever idea. First, you know, very, very clever, and he dared to be different. That is the main thing. So this is the spirit that I have always loved about my son. Dare to be different, you know. Like the day when he decided, he packed up and said, I'm going to go to Mexico, I'm going to see the world, I'm going to do this, do that, you know. Why leave the comfort of our company and do something? But then he came back stronger, braver, and even with more ideas, you know, and even more committed. So,
well, you know what they would them say, right? I mean, like the son always gets like all of the treats from his mom. So all of the creativity, all of the daringness, all of the don't care and just do. It all came from her. Wow. So it's not me.
That's it.
So okay. So I've got some molds. I've got some baking molds, silicone molds. So what I do is that I put the financiers onto the back, and then I pipe them into. So I don't fill up all the way. I fill up to about 3 quarters of it. And as you can see, as I am piping, you can see bits and chunks of the California raisins as well. So. And of course, I mean, you do not need to use a rectangular mold. You can use, any kind of mold that you have at home.
I think I remember my French chef tutor many years ago back in France, when they sort of told us briefly, remember the story that financiers were made in the shape of this rectangular, because resembled gold bars.
Gold bars.
And so the bankers or those in a hurry to get their money, investor, all that, in a hurry, they needed a cake that could be eaten easily, hold it in their hands, and then, you know, pop it in the mouth and put it in a package. I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Right. So then we just gently knock them. You don't really need to knock them with a lot of force. You just want to make sure that the edges are filled, so that when they bake, they will expand properly, and then you have a really nice shape as well. So, right? Okay. So at this stage is where we put them in the oven and we bake them at 200 degrees for about 15 minutes or until they are cooked, right? So of course, due to time constraint,
Magic oven.
it goes into the magic oven. And while it is baking, now we will do the raisin twirl, right?
Yeah, so this is my favorite. Okay, the raisin twirl. Yeah. Is this referring to that round, circular deco that is not only just for deco but delicious to eat and made of California raisins? So when he first let me try, because when he created this idea, and then I liked it immediately. I will tell you what it reminds me later in a short while. Yeah.
Okay, so for the raisin twirls, right, we have got isomalt sugar. So basically in this recipe I am using isomalt sugar. Why so? It's because isomalt, first of all, as you know, it is a model sugar work, right? Isomalt is not so sweet compared to your normal sugar, right? So which means that the sweetness again comes from the California raisins instead of the sugar itself, right? The other thing also is that because isomalt also it also absorbs less moisture as well. So which is also why a lot of like sugar artists, a lot of bakers, they like to use
sugar.
they like to use isomalt sugar.
Yeah.
Right. So I've got isomalt sugar here, and then of course I've got the raisins which I've already conditioned already. I've conditioned and then I blend it into a paste, right? Into like a puree. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to heat up the pot. So in this case, I would really want to blend my raisins until it's as fine as possible, because I am making a twirl and I want it to be nice and flat, and I don't really want like chunks of it, but it's more of like I want to capture the flavor of the raisins itself.
Chef Tim, while you are doing this,
Yeah.
this paste is alright. Tell us about Mexico. I mean, you're there for what, 6 months or something?
A year plus.
A year plus. Please tell us more about it.
Oh, Mexico! First of all, I mean, I love Mexico. If there are any Mexicans out there watching this, I mean, Mexico is like my second home. I love the people there. I have met like a lot of great people, a lot of nice people, and the funny thing is that I didn't choose Mexico, but Mexico chose me. It wasn't me who. I mean, when I wanted to travel, I just said that okay, I'm just going to travel. And my first thought was of course Southeast Asia, right? Because Southeast Asia. Hold on, So I'm just going to throw in the isomalt now, and then I'm going to heat up everything, and to melt down the sugar as well.
Your friend from Mexico said hi, Carlo.
Oh, Mr. Carlo. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
He did come back with a Mexican girlfriend, right?
What a city!
He's got a beautiful girlfriend now.
Yeah, so Carlo, I mean, he was really the one that really helped me when I was in Mexico, and I mean, overall, the food there is great, and I was there to really just promote Southeast Asian food, right? Yeah. Because one thing that I realized that back in Mexico, when you tell people about Asian food, people tell you ramen and sushi, but there are a huge number of them who have not tried like chicken rice, right?
Yeah.
Wanton mee, all of our Indonesian food, Philippines food, Malaysian food. There is really a huge number out there. So I was there to to really promote Southeast Asian food, doing classes, teaching people how to make chicken rice, popiah, this kind of stuff.
I really like that. I think as chefs, we try to, learning never stops. So we expose ourselves to cooking, baking, we learn from each other. And so we can incorporate, sometimes the feeling into, into our breads, our cakes and all that. So
that's true.
Yeah. Judy, it's a bit like a creative Culinaire, but Mexico, It's cool.
Yes. I mean, one of my dreams is to really eventually I would like to bring creative Culinaire into Mexico or even into South America, because I think that it is really really amazing when especially I'm sure that a lot of chefs know that food is something that really connects people, right? To me in my life, in what I believe in is that good food, good wine, and just good company. That's it. Life to me, that's perfect. That's the best. Yeah, true. And also conversations always begin on the table. Having a meal. How many people that I really connected with over food, and just food. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be complicated.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so once all of the isomalt has already melted, and it becomes like a paste. Okay, and it's really incorporated as well. So basically, at this stage, what is the main point is to really melt the sugar. You want to melt the sugar. You want to reduce the water content of it, and to really make it into the paste before you can spread it onto a silk pad.
Chef Tim, how do you come up with this idea?
Well, to be honest, Thomas, this is actually a very good question. Like, it just comes to me. I don't really go and research or think or whatever. You know, I mean, like even like the design. I mean, of course, it also comes from just looking at like different photos, looking at different Instagram, Pinterest, and stuff like that, and then just piecing the parts together. You know,
he's the creative one, really. So
and one thing that I realized that in today's like trend is simple. You know, minimal, simple. It doesn't need to be too complicated. You know, I think that at the end of the day, people really go back to like the basics, right? People really want like simple flavors, because I think that at the end of the day, I mean, it's like if you compare like if you were to go to like a very expensive restaurant, and then you go to the hawker center, you eat a chicken rice, right? Chicken rice always touches your heart, right? So it's I mean, I feel that people generally nowadays, everybody's going back to this whole simple thinking. I mean, not simple thinking, but simple and clean flavors.
Oh, this, if you look at this, okay, he's got texture.
Right, so next, so once all of the isomalt has already melted, so what I do is that I make it into like a paste.
Press it on a silk pad.
On a silk pad, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, you might see that it is still a bit more, it is still rough, but that's fine because texture as well also, right?
I'm very thankful that he's been blessed with creativity. You know, some of our company's brochures and some of the ideas he comes now. You know, sometimes when I do something or create something, I actually seek my son's help and ask, hey, Tim, what do you think of it? You know, and then he will just change a little bit here and there, and then it becomes more modern. So, you know, it's important to keep up with the times, really. You know, sometimes we are, the older ones, we are a little bit more old school, but we can learn from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, I feel that it really works both ways at the end of the day, right? Without the past generation, the future generation wouldn't come about. You know, I mean, like as with ideas, as with everything. You know, I mean, we always learn from the past and from the history, and yeah.
Yeah, someone once shared with me, we stand on the shoulders of giants so that we can reach another level.
Yeah,
so
we build upon shoulders of giants as well.
Yes.
Future generation. Have you all? I guess we Chef Judy is probably want to hope that Tim can take over you as well. You know?
Ah, yes, of course. Yes.
Not ever discussed it before.
Yeah, no, it's not.
First time.
Yes, of course. When we built our business with blood, sweat, and tears, and of course by the grace of God that we are here after 15 years. Every entrepreneur parent, whether it's a mom or dad, we're looking forward to the next generation to continue the good work. And I'm so glad that after he came back from Mexico and he told me, Mom, let's do this, build this together, bring it to greater heights, to grow and prosper, to be a blessing to others, because education changes lives.
Sure. Yeah, this is good, because I mean we all want to have our children as well to really excel, and of course having our children take over our business, right, is even great, but more importantly, right, that they're passionate about it as well.
Yeah, that's right. Because you are right, absolutely right, Thomas, because I think at the end we want our kids to be happy.
Yes.
If they feel in their heart, because this is something, F&B is tough, it's a long journey, exciting, but it needs a lot of endurance. So if they don't feel in the heart, then do something, they will be happy. So I'm just very blessed that I have my son who feels in the heart so much passion.
Yeah.
Now he's got my genes. He's right. Yeah.
Okay, so at this stage I've already spread out flat already, right? I mean, you should. I mean, like you want to spread out as thin as possible, right? So then we put it in the oven. We will bake it at 100 degrees, 90 to 100 degrees for about like 1 to about 2 hours, right? So at this part, it really depends on your oven. I mean, on basically what we really want to do at this stage first is to just dry out all of the moisture, So then we bake it again in the magic oven, okay? And then 1 hour suddenly becomes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then after you bake it for 1 to 2 hours, right, then you get this raisin bakwa. No. So you get this raisin bakwa, right? So this is vegan friendly, of course. I mean, it's a great Chinese New Year snack. If you want to cut it up, you can serve it also as your bakwa.
It's a very Asian thing. This bakwa is like meat, right? Chicken or different, and then they sort of dry it and make it very flat, spicy.
Yes,
right? So it really looks like bakwa.
Right. So it's basically after 1 to 2 hours, you want to dry it out until it becomes like a leather, right? So it becomes like a leather sheet.
This is
right?
vegan.
Yeah,
vegan.
It's vegan. Yeah. Right.
Don't try to take a water out of it.
Raisin bakwa.
Not in here at least, no. It's Singapore's weather. Okay, so at this stage, then this is where the twirl is yeah, you can cut it. You can, I mean, you do not need to cut it into circles. You cut it into like triangles, rectangles, anything, right? But at this stage, it is workable. You can work it. You can move it around, right? So what I did for this time around is that I use a piping nozzle, you know, and then I cut it. And then I cut it into circles, right? So of course, then they have it, and then after that,
or we can do star shapes or anything also.
Yes, you can do star shapes, you can do rectangle, you can do anything.
Or heart shapes.
Even heart shapes as well, also, right? So
Mother's Day. Valentine's Day. Any day is love day.
So then, of course, I mean, this is the part that it takes a bit of work, but then you cut it out, and then you have a very nice like round shape, right?
From bakwa to sansa.
Yeah, then now it becomes the sansa, right? If you actually eat it at this stage,
sure.
Yeah, sure. If you actually eat it at this stage, it really tastes like the sansa, right?
Now, just for our friends, sansa is basically a very old school treat that
candy.
like a candy is flat piece. It's made from this sansa fruit. Yes.
Right.
But this one is naturally sweet. I mean, it has with the fiber, with raisins.
And of course, also because we are using isomalt sugar, so it's not overly sweet, right? I mean, if you were here right now, I would let you try this one, but it's really not overly sweet, and it's a very nice fragrance, right?
Thomas wants to try. You see,
Thomas wants to try. I will try it. Okay, so then I use two different sizes, and then I cut it off. Right, so once we have cut it out already, and then we continue baking. We continue baking for another 1 to 2 hours. Again, the temperature has to be at 90 degrees. You know, it doesn't. If you go any more higher, you would actually burn it also, right? So what the way that I would do it is that I would at the end of the night, at the end of the day inside the bakery, once we have already off all of the ovens, right?
Deck ovens,
all of the deck ovens. Then I would just put this, and then I leave it in the oven overnight, and then because the temperature slowly drops, but then it's also absorbing the moisture, and then it is crisping up also as well, right?
Chef, there was a question about isomalt. Sugar itself. Is it easy to get in Southeast Asia?
Yes.
And if I can't get it, is there any alternative?
Right. So Yes, isomalt should be found in your local
pastry shop,
pastry shops, ingredient stores, and here, and like
use
here in
sugar
Singapore,
work.
sugar work. So it is definitely very easy to get. I am confident that no matter if you're in Philippines, if you're in Indonesia, if you are, here in Singapore, in any baking stores, you can get it.
For ingredients,
Right. So then we leave it overnight. So in my case, I left this overnight inside the oven. Was already turned off.
Just to address the question, I think that's a very good question, because while those our friends in the industry, in the professional industry, we all can know what isomalt is. Just maybe those who are baking at home, it's just an idea that needs to be tested out. Probably, you think, Chef Tim, maybe they could use the raisin and then mix a little bit of egg white just to bind the mixture, spread it out and dry. Maybe.
It could work. It's. You could even just use normal sugar as well. So right, but normal sugar, it might not be so crispy, and it would be, of course, very sweet as well. So right. So
it's binding to bind it.
Yes.
To bind it. So you see, at this stage, of course, like the products becomes, the toast becomes darker naturally, but then that's where it breaks off, and then
yum.
Almost. So
thanks.
So at this stage, it's crispy, is nice, right? So it is like a nice toast. Okay?
This is a nice snack. Come, Thomas. I know. I can read your mind.
Okay, so then next thing. So now we have already completed the raisin part. So what about the rum part, right? So the rum part, I'm just going to do a simple explanation. It's actually rum.
I can eat a plate of this.
It's nice, huh? Crispy.
So like this, So the cream is actually rum chantilly cream. Right, so it's also a very classic French
dairy cream,
right? So it's basically just dairy cream, icing sugar, and of course we have the rum. So in my case, I use a rum paste, right? I don't really like to use like the actual rum because it's a bit too watery. But whereas when I use like a rum paste, it gives it a much more like thicker, better flavor also as well, right? So it's just that it's really just dairy cream, rum paste, and icing sugar. That's it. Okay. So of course I've already prepared some of the
financiers.
Financiers, right? So
I think this has got quite a good shelf life, right? Like
yes, of course.
3-4 days outside.
Like 3 days is fine. Right?
Ambient temperature is fine without the chantilly cream, of course. So you can make it plain, pack it into bags, leave it in the shop. That could be something. And it's a great item, finger food for tea time.
Yes, it's perfect for tea time. If you ask me, I do really like this because it's really nice for a tea time, just as a snack as well. So right. So then now we pipe the.
It also looks very saleable as well.
Yes.
In terms of, as a business, right?
We always
think from the angle itself.
Yes.
Do you think it's something good that can sell all over the place here?
That's right.
Definitely.
Sure. Because it's very moist, it keeps well.
Yes.
Texture is nice.
If you're having if you have like a high tea set,
Yeah. They need leaves.
Yeah.
So, you can even buy the smaller molds, so that it's really one mouth, like this.
Popping kind of thing. Yeah.
So of course also, you might realize that the cream is a bit rough. It's really purely because I just left it in the bag and I left it in the fridge overnight, right? If you're doing it, the best way that I would recommend it is to have it fresh. Even if you leave it overnight as well, take it out and then give it a very quick whip and then pipe it again. Then it would definitely look a lot more smoother.
Pipe it on the morning you're selling it.
Pipe it in the morning.
Just before serving, actually.
Yeah. So then of course then you can just arrange it, right?
Because the thing about with the whipped cream is not stable, so at the room temperature in the hot weather you can't, and also to pack it can be a little bit, so you can just make it plain, put into the packet, and then package for sale. But to serve with a little bit of class in the restaurants, in the cafes, maybe one piece is X dollars, but the moment you put all this and plus you put raisin too, it's X plus Y plus Z plus, and so on.
More value add.
More value added, yes.
Right.
Indeed.
Do you think it's good for now with COVID going on?
Yes.
It'd be a good way to also for delivery as well. You think?
Yes, indeed. Yes, if you wished for delivery, we would suggest maybe not without the cream, just raisin tool. You can just place it on it or serve it separate. Yes, and then you for delivery, or even now it seems quite trendy, right? Like do it yourself. Maybe bake your stuff, right? And then with a piping bag, and then with packet of cream, or something with instructions how to whip it at home. You can also use a hand whisk and then they put in a piping bag and then ask them to watch, this video, how to put in the bag, pipe it, put the raisin. It could take off,
Yeah. I mean, for all those audience that we have, right, I know some of you are watching this as a family, as a mother and a son, mother and daughter. Shouting out to you, Christine, from Philippines. So, it's something good that you can perhaps think about doing it at home with your child. Not necessarily Mother's Day, but any other time as well.
Yes, it's actually a very good way to bond. I mean, honestly, when my two children were kids, of course I love baking, and I wanted, when I had opportunities to bake with them, cook with them, go to the market, descale the fish and all that. It was all just part of process to enjoy together. It wasn't like, I want him to be a chef or whatever. Just to enjoy. Let them, have the fun, have good memories. And then, as mothers, I guess, parents always like to protect them and all that, but I always liken being a mother or dad, like playing layang, the kite.
Yes.
Yeah, they hiss the kite, so we let them fly, then loose, then they think they are in the sky. When if there's danger bomb, we pull back, but they are, yeah. So,
but only by pulling back can they fly higher.
You're right. You're right. So indeed, and yes.
Okay, so then I just decorate it with some edible leaves, right? Pennyworth is the name of the leaf that I am using, right? You can use like nasturtium, but I think that nasturtium it's way too strong, and Pennyworth is like a very neutral flavor edible leaf that you can use as like a simple decoration.
It looks really beautiful, chef. It looks really beautiful. I mean, the way it looks like a work of art.
Thank you.
Actually, suddenly realize it does complement, right? Leaf and real leaf.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
And also because like I also wanted to have some green. It's really also not just for the look, but also green is my mom's favorite color. And no, it's I'm not saying it because of the camera or whatever, but I did really think about this when I was doing this.
Wow.
Okay, so there we have it.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen on the screen itself, do let us have any questions that you have. You can bring it up as well. You put comments. We can actually see your questions. We can also ask. Maybe I want to shoot the first question maybe to Chef Judy. We talked this earlier on. How did the COVID actually affect you doing as a business?
Like everyone else, of course, people stayed away out of fear, and also because of our government wanting us to be on the safe side. It does affect. I remember last year when we had the COVID-19 and we had circuit breaker, income in the school was very badly affected. Was almost down to zero, except for projects with our kind suppliers who supported us all these years. So it was really quite tough. But entrepreneurs, we always have the hearts of a lion, vision of an eagle. We don't give up. And by the grace of God, we actually went through. But it was also a time, I guess sometimes when there's negative situation, it brings out the heroes and the good in us, and of course sometimes the bad, But I saw my friends in the industry supporting, and I guess we all understand each other that it is a difficult time, but let's not give up, and we are fighting against the unseen enemy, but let's spend as much time as we can for our loved ones, because we never know, but yet we must keep our optimism, on and stay very positive. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we are about time ready, and I just want to, maybe I hope that one day, we can do this long enough that, when Tim becomes a father, we can have a Father's Day, Father's Day special, so, Tim and cook. So,
Father's Day.
thank you very much, everybody, and the audience itself.
Thank you.
I won't be coming on screen because of safe distancing, but I want to thank everybody and all our friends at USDA, our FAS officers, and also all the friends in the region itself. Thank you very much. Also, I thank Judy and Tim for sharing with us your intimate moment as well. Really, really. I mean, this is a bond of mother and son itself, and then of Tim, rising up to take over the business. Really wish you all the best in your future.
Thank you.
Without much further ado, thank you very much, and happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Thank you.
everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Stay safe. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks.
Okay.